Okay. Just give it a couple more moments for people to enter, and then we can get started.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think that's all good, and we've started recording. Thank you. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Sentral and Schoolbox showcase. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us. Our focus for this session is pretty straightforward. We want to explore how a close, intentional relationship between your core administration system and your learning management platform can transform daily school life. We want to show you how connecting Sentral and Schoolbox can simplify workflows for your staff and deliver a more cohesive experience for your families. To help ground this all in reality, we're also joined by Andrea Jackson from Blue Mountains Grammar School, who will share first-hand insights into how this integration has transformed their own school. Before we dive into the workflows, I'll introduce the team guiding the conversation today. Firstly, myself, Scott Newman, one of the product owners here at Schoolbox. Joining us from Sentral is Leanne Garcia and Cass Martin. And as I mentioned previously, we're fortunate enough to have Andrea Jackson from Blue Mountains Grammar School with us. They'll be providing that essential on-the-ground perspective, sharing how they manage these platforms side by side in a live, busy school environment. Just a few quick housekeeping points before we officially start. We are recording this webinar, and the link will be sent directly to your inbox afterwards, so you can share that with your wider teams. The Q&A function is live. You'll see a little Q&A box at the top. Please feel free to use that throughout the session, as we've dedicated some time at the end to cover those questions off. For anyone that's newer to Schoolbox, Schoolbox is a platform designed specifically for K-12 schools to support learning management, community engagement, and day-to-day school operations. At our core, we see ourselves as a trusted partner for schools, not just from a technology perspective, but in helping schools create a connected digital environment that genuinely supports staff, students, and families. A big focus for us is helping schools create a more connected experience across learning, school operations, and the wider school community. Think of Schoolbox as a digital campus that mirrors your physical one. It's more than just a toolset. It's about embedding your school's learning culture and community experience into every digital interaction. But a great community experience is only as good as the infrastructure supporting it. We've always believed that no single platform can or should attempt to be everything to every school. We are huge advocates of school choice and providing the ability to curate a technology stack that truly fits the needs of every school. That's why our partnership with Sentral is so important to us. By ensuring our systems work together, we provide a foundation where data remains consistent and workflows are simplified across the entire school. On that note, I'll hand over to Leanne to introduce Sentral.
Thanks so much, Scott. So who is Sentral? For those of you who are not familiar with us, we've been proudly serving the education industry for close to 3 decades. We were founded by educators who stepped out from the school world and wanted to make a real difference for our educators. We are Australian made and we're backed by the strength of a Fortune 500 company. What that means is that we are aligned to the education solutions business of the global payments world, and where we can leverage off the experience of our peers across the world, but we have a local flavour to it. We have local experience. So with that comes peace of mind that you have security and the scale of a 26,000 strong force behind it. Education is all that we do. Our staff comes from all walks of life, and most of us have had experience from schools and working in the education education industry generally. Myself being a teacher, we understand what our schools are going through. We understand the school context. And education is all that we do. Next slide, please. This is what I like to call the highlights tour of the Sentral platform. So as you can see, we offer a lot of modules. We offer a lot of solutions and different technology to help and support our schools. We offer a flexible and modular approach to our solution, and we recognise that no two schools are the same. We also recognise that schools increasingly have a full and complex tech stack, which we'll hear a lot more about later when we chat with Andrea. At Sentral, we believe in a best of breed approach where our core platform is enhanced by partnerships with leading technology solutions to best deliver outcomes for our schools. And we're really excited to be here this afternoon with our Schoolbox folks to showcase the strengths of our integration. So, as I said, we're a complex solution. We are a cloud-native enterprise solution. Security is incredibly important to us. We have a global team as well as our local teams on call 24/7. We have tooling and monitoring to support at all layers. We are a Microsoft connected ecosystem, and that helps when we're looking at the whole platform and the solution. So next slide, please. These are just some of the things that are important at Sentral. We have one student record for life, so it doesn't matter whether you start in kindergarten or you start in year 10. That record that you have stays with you for life at a school. We believe that data is schools, and we know increasingly how data is important in school context, and we allow our schools to have access to that data. And we have a really rich set of API integrations with over 50 rich integrations. It's one of our strong points in the system. It's a modern API integration that ensures smooth transferability of data. So, next slide. But most importantly, how does Sentral work with Schoolbox? And as I just mentioned, data flows are really important. We believe that when systems connect, everything works better. So with this mindset we share with our Schoolbox colleagues, we recognise that schools have a lot of data. What you need from your education partners is reliable, secure connections that are simple to use and manage. But most importantly, they're up to date. So data flows from student information, staff data, parent data, timetabling, wellbeing and assessment data. We also are really proud to have a deep link with the Schoolbox system, the Schoolbox interface, which allows teachers to mark their attendance directly in the Schoolbox site. And as I've spoken about before, integration is something that is a collaborative approach that we take with Sentral and Schoolbox. We have data flows that are seamless between the two systems. We're really proud of what we've developed together, and we know that what we have is only going to continue to grow. So with that, and I don't want to spend too much time speaking about Sentral, this is an opportune time for me to introduce Andrea. Andrea comes to us from Blue Mountains Grammar, and thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, Andrea. Andrea is one of those schools that has both the Schoolbox and the Sentral platforms, this afternoon Andrea is going to tell us a little bit about the integration and how it works. So over to you, Andrea. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're using the integration at Blue Mountains Grammar.
Yeah, sure. So I think we've got a little slide coming up here that I will sort of walk through. We're a pre-K to 12 school. we're over 100 years old up here, so it was fun migrating a whole stack of data over to Sentral back in the day. We have 2 campuses, one up here in Wentworth Falls and one down at Springwood, our junior school. We operate ushers before and after school care out of both of those campuses. Approximately 550 students across our campuses. We're an Anglican school. I suppose one of our, if you want to summarise our sort of ethos, good learning, doing good. We have a strong leader in our principal and a very strong strategic plan, driving things like design thinking and just making exceptional human beings of our students. So you can see some of the things there that we strive for with that. Over to our platforms, our SIS LMS journey. In 2020, I rolled in and implemented Sentral and quite a few modules with that, with a sort of big bang approach, as we called it. And in 2024, we started the later half of the year rolling in Schoolbox for our teachers, and then going live in 2025 with our parent community. The vision, I suppose, has been something I've, from my point of view, been working on to get a holistic approach to our ecosystem of platforms, especially from the end user experience, particularly with our parents. So, making sure that we have a really good SSO experience. One of the big things that parents were crying out for, and basically just continuous improvement to, just bring about the best experience for our customers and our students, our parents and our staff.
Great. Thanks, Andrea. Now, we know that we've got 3 use cases that we're going to work through today. We're looking at both from the staff experience, the student and parent experience, as well as how you're using the learning management system. So can you talk us through some of those scenarios, Andrea?
Yeah, so I like to sort of categorise the areas where Sentral and Schoolbox, come together, I suppose, into our staff intranet, our student parent extranet, if you like, and then the learning management system. So, we've got the day in the life of a staff member. First thing in the morning, what they're getting is a news email notification out of Schoolbox, powered by Sentral, because of data that's come through into Sentral, and all of that data that allows for the user account of that staff member to be really specific and precise in the targeting of the communications that come out of Schoolbox. So straight away, as soon as our staff wake up, they're getting that experience coming in, and the bulletin for the day, for example, on our intranet sort of pages in Schoolbox, we have very specific information that only staff, of course, can see and no one else can. And for that, we need the data to come out of Sentral so tight and so clean to come in, because we leverage that data in Schoolbox to provision up our staff into very specific pages, and based on that setup and that provisioning, communications flow. So it's so complex and but yet so rich and so flexible. Then we've got the student parent experience, and I could say the same thing about that. Students can go in, they can see their timetable, they can go in and see it on Schoolbox. They could also pop into Sentral if they wanted to, but we try to bring just a one-stop shop approach, fully powered by Sentral, but fully delivered by Schoolbox at the same time. So that's where we go. And of course, we've got the learning management system in Schoolbox. And, you know, our parents, for the first time last year, were able to see in real time due work, assessment information, in some cases in our junior school, the actual class page. We were able to decommission a whole series of platforms and just bring that one in again with the central information coming through with class codes and the timetable and all the other modules that you know, surface in Schoolbox. So there's the three there.
Fantastic. Now, we've spoken a lot about data and data flows, but increasingly schools are navigating increasingly complex and full tech stacks, and we've got your tech stack here up on the screen. So can you describe the tools that you use and how the Sentral and Schoolbox integration facilitates this?
So you can see the main, you know, API stack right here. You know, at some points it can get up to, you know, 12 deep in the trail. But so you've got Sentral right there and Schoolbox being the big two, you know, sort of areas that run this whole thing, and that we, you know, just everything pivots off that. So you can see over there, we've got the test timetable coming through. That was actually one of the platforms we had with our legacy SIS before. So we just plugged it into Sentral. When we went live with Sentral, we used it test eval daily for changes on the fly, for covers and things like that, and events that are driven in eval daily. In it comes to Sentral, surfacing on timetables, and doing a whole lot of things with our activities, our co-curriculars, or a whole lot is sort of leveraged off that data that comes through at Sentral. Then we have that in a whole payload going over to Schoolbox, scheduled several times a day. At times where we have, you know, very intentionally scheduled that data pass over so that we have captured all the changes in the morning, and we've got a really lovely fresh set of information that surfaces on the apps that our users use, whether they be a parent, a student, or a staff member. And then, of course, we've got Schoolbox flowing that through over to the Digistorm app for Schoolbox. We also, you can see there up above, we've got Wand involved and we've got PIPs involved. So Wand passes data from Sentral over to PIPs and then down into our School Shop Online product. And so we've got Sentral data servicing over there. We've got PIPs allowing for SSO for our parents, and this was a game changer for us. It really changed the dynamic of the parent experience, allowing parents to go in with that single sign-on, no matter if they're in the Digistorm app, the Sentral app, the School Shop Online. It's and also the browser versions of all of those apps as well. So we've just got that overarching for our parents, and it's been a lovely thing to put in and have working well. And you can see we've got off on the side Xero going on. There's all kinds of things happening in the stack here on a all day long basis.
And it's working nicely and it all flows.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, the sort of overview of your stack, Andrew. It's definitely, it highlights how complex a school really is and the different platforms that are all talking to each other. So I want to sort of rephrase it and use this slide to try and do that. But from a pure user experience perspective, what has been the ultimate result of bringing Sentral and Schoolbox together?
Yeah, okay. So we're in the world of, you know, seamless, intelligent, personalized experience. That's where we are. That would be my summary. And if I look back at where we were, you know, 7 years ago, it was nowhere near that. It used to take a day to get a communication out for, just say, COVID, just to make sure all the people were caught up. Now it's like that. Like the change, the freeing up of resources, the reliability of data, the reliability of who's getting what is just, next level. And so it's gone from, really awful to a really reliable, and as you sort of said at the beginning, robust system. And it's all because we can do that best of breed plug-in, which is what the whole thing is based on. And so that's how I would characterize it there, Scott.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love that. I love that insight. There's just simplification of disparate systems to achieve what you would think is a pretty simple thing to do. Yep. Okay.
Andrew, I'm really wanting to know what the day in the life of your users, and you've got here on screen a great visual about excursion and permission slips. Can you talk us through how the school is leveraging the integration to improve and drive parent engagement?
Yeah. So, we could have got another third-party product, okay, but it would not have delivered on the things that I'll walk through that really meet our business need, right? So this solution, it looks a little complicated up front, but to the parent, it's not. To the parent, it's actually quite simple. So what we've done is we've started with Sentral, and we've set up, an activity, right, in the activity module. That data has come through. It takes information from enrollments module. It takes information from the timetable. It goes into the activity there, and from there we set up, to say, an excursion. Okay, and that excursion, we then have it ready and we push it over to the portal of Sentral, and it sits there in the news feed, right, ready to go. What we then do before we actually, we sort of have it there, and we simultaneously, so we get this package all together in a particular timing, we go over to Schoolbox and we leverage the class pages or other group pages that have target audience on them, whether they be students or students because of a timetabled, class, or some other type of mechanism for getting them into a group page. And we use that functionality to make a news of that page to send to the target audience whose children are going on the excursion, to send them the communication that literally has a button like I've got down here. So visit Sentral portal to complete your permission slip. That image has a URL on it, and a click, so that when the parent gets it, they get a Schoolbox news, and it's just got a big button like that saying, and with the title, we're going to the zoo or whatever, and then they click on it, or they can go, the trigger is they can also go to their app and go, aha, I've got something in my Schoolbox app waiting for me right now, or they can literally click into there. Now that's where the integration, really takes advantage, because what we're doing, we have gone to the Sentral portal permission slip functionality using Schoolbox functionality, right? So that's how we've connected it all. And why did we do that? Because Sentral surfaces online on your, your permission form, to the parent, the medical data of the student, of their child. And that is crucial. We take our kids out on, down the bush with our Wild Ed experience, and we must know all of that medical information. And so having it presented to the parent before they give permission, or as they give permission, really says, this is what we got about your child. Can you make sure that it's okay? And they got a chance to change it. Now that's amazing that there's also flowing of information in all kinds of directions as well. So we can have an excursion roll, we have attendance data then that flows off, we have academic report information that surfaces from the activity itself as well. We've got that amazing link and straight back from Schoolbox straight back to Sentral in a seamless experience. Other things like statements of attainment get spun up. There's all that long list there, all massive ticks for why I've got this solution and not another third-party product. So yeah, that's basically how that works.
And I guess what you've just highlighted there, Andrea, is, behind the scenes, there is so many things happening, but when it presents to the parent, it is just seamless, and it's just that they have no idea what goes on behind the scenes.
No.
Which is how we want it.
We want it. Yeah, that's right.
All right, thank you for that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for those insights and those use cases, Andrea. It's definitely it's clear that the Blue Mountains Grammar School community is really seeing the practical value of having the two systems that are genuinely designed to complement each other. As you can see on the screen, this partnership really is a case of our two platforms working together to create a more connected school experience. At its core, it's about linking your administrative data in Sentral with the daily learning workflows inside Schoolbox. Together, we keep your data accurate and up to date. We dramatically reduce the manual administration and double handling. We improve consistency right across the entire school. And ultimately, we support a connected experience for your staff, your students, and your families. Massive thank you again to Andrea for giving a look behind the scenes at BMGS, and to also Leanne from Sentral for facilitating.
Thanks, Scott.
Also, a huge thank you to everyone that has attended today, and we'll open up the floor to some Q&A. I'll just toggle over here into the Q&A tab, see if we've got any questions. I do have one sort of up my sleeve, directed to you, Leanne, and also to Cass. So you just turn your camera back on. For schools where their SIS contracts are ending sort of next year, when do you typically recommend you'd start the evaluation and transition conversations? Is it considered to be early enough, or are schools usually taking a far greater time to do that?
Oh, good question.
I'm going to leave that one with you, Cassie.
Yeah, thanks for that. So I think 12 months is a good time to start that sort of discovery phase, like sort of having an idea of what's out there, understanding what your school is doing as well, and how different people are using that system. I guess we talk to schools that not everyone knows what everyone's using or what they're doing or how they're using it. So it does, sometimes there's a few surprises in there as well, and getting an understanding of, the kindergarten teacher might be using something over here that no one knew about, and whether or not you want to include that in the process as well. So I think 12 months is a nice amount of time. You can definitely, do that process in shorter, but it just allows you that time to do that discovery at the school level, talk to different vendors out there and understand what is on offer. And really sort of narrow down into what you're looking for the school as well.
Beautiful. Yeah, appreciate that. I've got one question sort of related to both of you, I suppose, and it's based off, Leanne, you described Sentral as a module-based product. And yes. I think, Andrea, you alluded to the fact that you took that module implementation approach. Do you want to just give us a little bit of an outline on choices that you made maybe there in that implementation process, and if you have your future goals and things like that?
Yeah, so we went live with several modules at once. We just felt like that was something we wanted to do at the time, and not knowing how else to do that, it seemed to work fine. It was in the middle of COVID, which was very awkward in terms of the training and implementation, or we did it from home. But so getting that enrolment module up and that data was a piece, but it gave us other opportunities to look at our data and to get that sorted. We went live with class PXP, attendance, activities, academic reports, a whole plethora of the modules. It was completely doable. We did it.
Yeah.
And then as we needed, we turned on other modules. So, when the first, I suppose, actually it took about another year for us to put in parent-teacher interviews. And we were able to get rid of a platform that wasn't integrated, double handling, all of that, and just come in with products like that. We use issue tracker to track, if the lights fail in the classroom. We use it for that. I also use it to, for print job requests across all of our campuses. So, we've really tried to leverage the most out of the modules on offer and really customise them to what we, the way we do business here.
Beautiful.
Probably to add a little bit more to that, Scott, if I could. Sentral recognises that no two schools are the same. So we work with schools from large multi-school, multi-campus enterprise organisations to small, tiny schools. It really depends on, the appetite for change, the staff available to help with this project and managing the change management process. At Sentral, like you can, like Andrea said, you can turn everything on. You can have a phased approach where you just take the main modules that you need for day one, like attendance, enrolment, those really key and critical core modules. And then as your staff develop their experience and their confidence, then you can start rolling out other modules. So short part of it is no two schools are the same, and we work with our schools when they are embarking on this journey.
Yeah, when you can bite off what you can chew, right?
Exactly.
There's a couple of questions that have come through. This one's pretty big and open question from Simon, but how did you get your Sentral Schoolbox integration so well designed?
We've just got really great people.
Yeah.
That's me. I'm telling you what's not well designed is when the weather kicks in and I lose my internet. Okay, which is what happened just now. So I'm back online on a hotspot. I had a bit of a bigger vision about 5 years ago to really heighten the parent experience. I actually made 2 SharePoint sites, one for the intranet, one for our extranet for our parents. And that process really refined and clarified what it is we wanted to build. So that was a good exercise, and that helped create the API, stack. And we don't let everything just come into the stack. I mean, I stopped a platform last week from wanting to connect in, because we've got to curate this, we've got to manage this, we've got to know how the data flows. We need to know how to support every time something there might be a technical difficulty we run into, and that happens. But when it does, we know how to troubleshoot it. Know exactly where to go in all the stacks and find the needle, because that's sort of what it can be like sometimes. But yeah, it's just a matter of really thinking really big, I suppose. That's what I'm thinking.
Thank you. And another question, which I can probably answer there. So from Shane, can you push the marks for a due work in Schoolbox directly into the mark book of Sentral? And how do you export and import? So that was sort of the second phase of our API integration with Sentral. So the first phase being that sort of core data set, being your student data, your parent data, staff data, etc. And then we transitioned to that next phase, which was being able to write back from Schoolbox into the Sentral Markbook. And Andrew, I don't actually know the answer to this question, but I will table it with you. Are you using that functionality to produce your summative reports?
I'm not. We're not.
That's
We're
okay.
not. That was, again, an intentional part of our implementation in Schoolbox. Wasn't as big bang as the one in Sentral, really. So we know it's there, and we are under review for our academic reports right now, and and then we'll move into Markbook and bringing in that more rich functionality and just making some decisions around that. But we have not got that in place now.
Yeah, beautiful. So yes, the functionality is there, as well as the other part of that second phase was the attendance marking as well. So that's all the questions that have come through from what I can tell. We'll hang on for any more. I don't know if Cass or Leanne, if you've got any more. But if not, we can wrap it up there. Yeah, look, I just wanted to say again, massive thank you to Andrea for running us through that today, and also to Sentral, and also everyone that's attended. Really appreciate your time, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Okay.
And thank you again, Andrea, for being part of the conversation.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.